Now, to come to an end for this section, I also briefly want to dive into how you can build adaptive apps. And for that, of course, it's important to understand what this means. In the end, it means that your UI can also adapt to the platform on which it's being presented. And in general, you can use exactly the same widgets and styling no matter if you are running your app on Android or iOS. But you can also adjust some widgets or styles if you want to. Now, to show you what I mean, I'm launching my app here on an iOS simulator, which I started on my device. Since I'm on macOS here, I can indeed build my Flutter app for iOS on this device. So that's what I'm currently doing here. I started this app, this same app on which we worked throughout this and the last section on iOS. And as you can see, this app also looks totally fine on an iOS device. And there are even some adjustments, like for example this title here, which is now centered, which are made automatically by Flutter as your app does run on a different device. On Android, this title was on the left. On iOS, it's automatically centered, though you could override that if you wanted to by going to your scaffold app bar and setting center title to false, for example. This would force the title to be on the left. But it is, of course, also something you can keep, since these are nice touches that make the app feel native for the platform on which it is running. You also might note that the font is a different one, because by default here on iOS, Flutter uses a different font family for the text. But the general look and feel, of course, is the same. And that's a good thing, because that is what allows you to build your app once, to write your code once, and to use the same code and styling for different target platforms. But there also are some cases where you might want to have a more platform-specific look. For example, here if I click Save Expense, this dialog which I get here is the exact same dialog with the exact same look and feel as I had it on Android. And this might be fine, it definitely does not look awful and it works, but you might want to use the native iOS dialog look and feel here. And to help you achieve this, Flutter gives you many built-in widgets that are styled and fine-tuned for iOS. For example, here, in case of the dialog, Flutter gives you an alternative show Cupertino dialog method. Now, if you want to use this method, you have to add an import at the top though, and you have to import Cupertino.dart from the Flutter framework package. Now, Cupertino is simply the name of the iOS styling language or design language, you could say. So whenever you read Cupertino in a Flutter app, it refers to iOS styles and behaviors. So with Cupertino.dart imported, you could call show Cupertino dialog to have that Cupertino look and feel. Now here for this builder, you then have to pass a function that also takes a context and that then returns a widget, just as before for the normal show dialog function, if you want to call it like this. Now the widget you would want to return here would be the Cupertino alert dialog. So here for the normal show dialog function, I returned the normal alert dialog, which has the material styling. Here for show Cupertino dialog, I'm returning Cupertino alert dialog. Now, thankfully here for the Cupertino alert dialog, you can also set all these parameters, which we did set here for the normal alert dialog. Title, content, and actions. These are all supported here as well, and hence we can just copy and paste them here. But with that, we have a dialog that looks like the iOS dialog. But of course, we'll have one problem. We can't show both here, or at least we probably don't want to show both. So we need some way of finding out on which platform we're running to then show the appropriate dialog. So how can we find out on which platform we're running? Well, for this we can use an if statement, here nested inside of the outer if statement, though you could also refactor the code to be in a separate method, and that is indeed what I'll do here. I'll add a new void method, show dialog, And in here, I want to show either the Cupertino or the normal dialog. So I'll cut that code from submit expense data and paste that in here into show dialog. And in submit expense data, before returning here, I'll call show dialog. And this is totally optional. I'm just doing this to keep this method lean and readable. But now in show dialog, we want to find out on which platform we're running. And as mentioned, this can be achieved by using an if statement. And then by using the platform class here, which is provided by Dart, which has helpful properties like is Android or is iOS. And here we can check if the platform is iOS. And for that, an import must be added at the top, where you import Dart.io, because that's the Dart package that provides this platform class. And with that import added, we can use this platform class here, and then check if we are on the iOS platform, in which case we want to show the Cupertino dialog. So I'll move this code here into this if statement, and else I want to show the regular dialog, which I show on Android, therefore. And with that, we have a convenient way of finding out on which platform we're running, and we can then use this information to adjust the widgets we're rendering, or, like in this case, to adjust the dialog we're showing. So here, if I force a reload, open this and click Save Expense, now I have that iOS look. And that's how you can build adaptive apps, by using this platform class to determine on which platform you are, and then you can use that information to run different code for different platforms. And of course here we're calling different show dialog methods. We could also use this platform information here in the build method to return different widgets or different widget combinations based on the platform. All these things are possible.